Hello guys, it's Tisha again, and I decided to make a video because something really interesting just came up in the Battlefield 4 Facebook. They announced the PC system requirements, as you can see on the video. First, I'm going to start with the minimum. They require Windows Vista as the lowest operation system that is going to work, so no XP. It has to be 32-bit or more. For the 32-bit, it has to be with that specific platform update. The processor, which is really surprising to me, are AMD Athlon X2 2.8 GHz or Intel Core 2 2.4 GHz. I really doubt they're going to be able to run the multiplayer with 64 men in the server. So I actually think these requirements are for the single player, and as you know, the single player is always easier on your hardware. The required memory is 4 GB, which is again a bit weird because while talking on Skype, playing Battlefield and having some programs open in the background, I don't see usage of more than 5 GB of RAM. I have 8 in my system. In my opinion, memory for the minimum would be 2 GB, not 4. Graphics cards, they're really surprising. It's the AMD Radeon HD 3870 or the NVIDIA GeForce 8800 GT. These cards are very old. They have been here for decades, and developers have been using them as minimal requirements for a very long time. I really doubt any of them is going to run the game, given they aren't even able to run Battlefield 3 in the multiplayer. So we'll see. The graphic memory is 512 megabytes, which is, I guess, normal because my current graphics card, the HD 6850, has only 1 GB of RAM and I can run Battlefield 3 on high. So 512 megabytes for minimum requirements seems fine. And the hard drive, it's 30 GB, not something surprising. I cleaned my hard disk only so I can have enough space for Battlefield 4. I always like to have at least 100 GB free, so right now I have 130. Battlefield 3 currently is 32 GB with all the DLCs, and Battlefield 4 I think it's going to be 30 right from the start. So around, I guess, 45 it's going to be with all the DLCs installed. The recommended. The first surprising thing, as you can see, is the operation system. It's Windows 8 64-bit, and after I did a bit of research, I found out why that's the case. Windows 8 has some DirectX 11.1 features that aren't supported by any of the older operation systems, not even Windows 7. By having these features, it's possible for you to have better performance in the game because it's going to lower the load on your CPU, which, as you know, is the most important thing in Battlefield 3. Yes, the GPU is very important too, but most of the times you end up being CPU bound before you become GPU bound. In my case, it's not like that because my current graphics card is very low end, so I'm getting limited by it. But if you have a decent graphics card like the one I just bought a week ago, an MSI 7950 Twin Frozen, I'm going to do a review of the card when it arrives on the 23rd of September. And I'm going to do some benchmarks too. If you have a graphics card like that, I think the CPU is going to limit you first, not the graphics card. The requirements for the processor are what I expected: an AMD 6-core CPUs like the AMD Phenom X6 or the AMD FX 6000 series. 6300 is the preferred one in my opinion because it has a better IPS. And the requirements for Intel are quad-core, and by quad-core I mean i5s and i7s. Memory required is 8 GB. As I said, Battlefield 3 has never used more than 4.5 or even 5 GB. So if you have anything above 5 gigabytes you're going to be fine. And for graphics card, that's where things get interesting. The requirements for AMD are the HD 7870 and for GeForce the GTX 660. I remember these cards can't even run Battlefield 3 on Ultra, so I actually think the recommended settings are for you to be able to play the game on Ultra settings but with around 30 to 40 frames, not stable 60 as I prefer. Or the other case, the recommended requirements are for Battlefield 4 on high, not on ultra, and later on we're going to get the appropriate requirements for Battlefield 4 on ultra. I really hope 7950 will be able to run the game fine, given that I have overclocked the card to 1200 MHz. Graphics card memory, it says 3 gigabytes, but I'm sure even with 2 gigabytes you're going to be fine. That's just marketing because Battlefield 4 is sponsored by AMD. So guys with 770s from NVIDIA or 680s, 670s, etc., don't worry. And hard drive space, it is the same. I hope I was helpful with this video. Expect more Battlefield 4 coverage from me. I'm sorry I wasn't uploading videos from a very long time, but I was really busy with things related to school since I'm in an exchange program and I had to sort some things out and I was rebuilding my room. See ya guys in the next one.